So if you want to see this video, you'll have to go to YouTube or Rumble and find Proud Deplorable. The video is Netanyahu is right in because apparently TikTok, they wouldn't let the first video that I did be seen, so I do edit it. Sometimes I do that because it pushed it out there, but then they cut the sound and they don't give me a violation, so I can't appeal it. Yeah, that's so. I mean, you always know you're over the mark. Nick Fuentes isn't, Candace isn't, none of these people are. They all serve Rome. Here's how you know it's not the First Church of Christ, okay? The Catholic Church is because of its history, its fruits. It doesn't represent Jesus in the way that it looks, any way, shape, or form. France should know this all too well, okay? Especially France. But France goes from, because this is what happens when you place your loyalties in a denomination instead of letting the Spirit of God within you guide you, which is what the church was. Then everybody's led astray, everybody operating on self-will. That Vatican doesn't even know God. They never wanted to anyway, though. I know a ton of people would say, you can't say there's so many priests and cardinals. Yeah, and why don't they know the Spirit of God? Instead, they protect their institution, don't they? That has this horrible history, has a mass child molestation problem. Liberals love to use this church for their social justice agendas, and they are more than happy to help. But it's this church. That's why that Jesus said Satan controls this kingdom. I mean, God ultimately, he has influence, but this is all the people's will. So don't be listening to churches telling you, oh, God institutes the governments. No, this is all self-will run world. Nobody wanting to truly allow God to lead, because nobody knows what that would look like. Well, you won't know what it looks like until you do it, which means you have to surrender to God. It has to become about His will. Otherwise, you're going to continue to have the selfishness that, oh, the baby boomers need to retire and die so that the young people have a chance. Like, what kind of world is that? It's sick, twisted. But the government serve it, the church serve. I mean, it's all sick. And then you have this Christian nationalist group. They don't even know Christ either, okay? Just like Charlie Kirk didn't. But then you have all the governments that, put him on some damn pedestal. So it's everybody just wanting to control the masses and nobody wanting to let God lead. Nobody. A ton of Christians saying, no, I believe in God and I pray and, okay, then what, you either want to surrender to Him or you don't. If you think it's all about material wealth, then you're really lost, okay? I mean, the reason God, it's so confusing because, there is parts in the Bible where God blesses people with material wealth, but that's more in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, it's more like you're going to lose things because this world runs on self-will. So when you're someone that operates trying to do God's will, you're going to lose things. I'm not saying everybody, but this world, what it will tell you is that, no, you're doing God's will because you have all this material wealth. Oh, that's dangerous. Because what God does is try to make you more Christ-like, so that the more Christ-like you become, the more people He can bring into His kingdom. His kingdom was, I said it in my video. You'd have to go find it, though. The one I just showed. So, look, the reason this is just an old story, okay, that goes back between Rome persecuting the Jews is because this is why the Catholic Church has a history of going after the Jews, okay? The history of the Catholic Church's relationship with Jews includes centuries of persecution, discrimination, and violence, especially during the Middle Ages and early modern period. The Church institutionalized anti-Semitism by creating discriminatory laws and supporting the Inquisition, which led to forced conversions, expulsions, pogroms, restrictions on Jewish religious and social life, book burnings, and sometimes massacres. Examples include expulsions from England, Spain, 1492 expulsion, and other parts of Europe, as well as the harsh treatment of Jewish converts in the Spanish Inquisition. The church also propagated theological ideas that blamed Jews collectively for the death of Jesus, which fueled widespread Christian anti-Semitism. Notably, some popes issued protections for Jews at times, condemning violence. It doesn't even matter when they do that, because it's like they talk out of both sides of their mouth. Remember what God said about being double-minded. So protections for Jews at times, condemning violence or false accusations such as blood libel and scapegoating of Jews for calamites like the Black Death. However, these protections were often limited and not always enforced. Exactly. The church's official stance began to change significantly only in the 20th century, particularly with the Second Vatican Council, 1965's declaration, which repudiated the charge of Jewish collective guilt for Jesus' crucifixion and condemned anti-Semitism. Despite this, the Catholic anti-Semitism helped create a climate in Europe that nurtured hostility towards Jews, which what did that lead to? The Nazis. Who do you see very much like the Nazis right now? And they're anything but being Christ-like. But what religion are they in? Especially the most famous ones. One's named Nick, the other's Candace, both Catholics. Contributing indirectly to the events like the Holocaust, where many Catholics either supported discriminatory policies or remained silent. Catholic leaders' responses to Nazi persecution were mixed, ranging from opposition and protection efforts to regrettable silence or complicity. Yeah, too often, and they're always on the wrong side of everything. In summary, the war against Jews by the Catholic Church was largely manifested through institutionalized anti-Semitism, legal restrictions, religious discrimination, and periodic violent persecution throughout history, particularly from the medieval period until the modern era, after which substantial official reforms and repudiations began to be implemented in the church's teachings and relations with Judaism. So there's something wrong with these people, like there's something in their DNA. I don't mean the Jews, I mean these people that want to blame Israel, want to blame it's goes to a sick place. I mean, look at who Nick Fuentes is, okay? I mean, you know, he prides himself on being on being a prick. Sorry, not sorry. He does. He prides himself on being that. Woohoo! Woo. That's hard to strive for, huh? Yeah. What an accomplishment he's got going there. And they all roam in the same circles. Tucker and Megyn Kelly kind of moves in and out of that circle. And there's just any podcast, I'm telling you, any podcast that does any political content, any podcast, any YouTube channel, any Rumble channel that does anything that touches on politics, unless they're far left liberal, okay? But if they have tons and tons of followers, write them off. Write them off. They're gonna turn. They're put in place for a reason. Again, the wicked one is still running the show. Satan is still running the kingdom. And you might think, well, when will God stop allowing Satan to run the kingdom? Oh, I don't know. Maybe when the people themselves decide that they want to operate on God's will instead of self-will. Just a thought.